Welcome to Courageous Conversations, where we dive deep into the stories of extraordinary leaders, breaking barriers, and transforming industries. Today, we're talking about resilience, authenticity, and the audacity to lead in spaces not built for you. My guest is Gia Duke, a powerhouse who climbed the ranks in a male-dominated industry to oversee billions in global supply management. From growing up in Mumbai to shaping the future of one of the world's most iconic companies, Gia's journey is proof that growth and comfort rarely coexist. Gia's here to share her hard-won lessons about turning challenges into opportunities, building unshakable support networks, and owning your unique strengths to inspire lasting change. This is more than a conversation. It's a call to action for women everywhere to claim their seat at the table. According to my watch, it's time for a courageous conversation. Gia, welcome to Courageous Conversations.
Thank you. Happy to be here today, Paul.
Gia, I want to start off by asking you, what are you a product of?
Paul, a secure, solid upbringing, super supportive husband in everything I've dreamed of and wanted to accomplish, incredible kids, and I would say many sponsors and mentors along the way have helped me be who I am
And you grew up where?
So I was born and raised in Mumbai, India. I was a little bit over 20 years old when I moved over to the US.
And what brought you here?
I went to school, came here to go to school, was going to head back home, but then met my husband, started working with John Deere, and have been with them since for the last 24 years.
It's unbelievable. I'm curious, what shaped your decision to pursue a career in global supply management?
Yeah, I would say a variety of different things. Paul, my brother's 5 years older than me, great protector, mentor. My dad was in the Navy. My mom was a school teacher, really a great combination to build confidence and the ideology of putting in work with focus on academic achievements. And so when I went to school here, was an economics student, worked a lot on regression analysis. And when I started off with John Deere, that was my first role, working on regression analysis and supply management. And I loved it from the day I started. And yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. And so do you ever get to ride around on those big tractors?
Yes, I have tractors, a lot of our construction equipment, and it's definitely a surreal experience to do.
It's fun. I got to do it at Waterloo about a year ago. I had a blast. Tell me, what are you in charge of now, just so our listening audience understands?
Yeah, I'm responsible for our construction and forestry and our engine business from a supply management perspective, manage over $5 billion in spend. And both the strategic and the operational supply management responsibilities.
Wow. So a big role.
Yeah, I don't think I could have ever imagined that starting out. I started off as a sheet metal buyer with John Deere 24 years ago. So definitely, it's been an incredible journey.
Wow. Congratulations, really. Throughout your career, I'm sure you faced systemic biases, whether subtle or overt. And I'm wondering, how did you navigate these challenges, and what advice would you give to women who might be confronting similar barriers today?
Paul, I would say the first thing is resilience, right? So when you're faced with something, you can either say, why me? It's not fair, or figure out how you want to navigate the challenge to make the situation better for yourself and then also for people like me that might be coming after me. When I sense bias, my first thought is it's coming from a place where they may not know or may not have experienced. I would also say building a strong support system is very critical as you navigate through some of those issues. And then the third thing I would say is really try to double down and focus on my own skill set, right? I can be better and continuously rise to the challenge, whether it be through experiences, education, etc.
Where did you learn the resilience?
Yeah, that's a great question. My dad turned 80 this year. And he shared with us his will. And it's many pages long, but the only line that I took away from it, and I quote, he ended with, for my children, the most important asset I leave them are the values that I've raised them with, which included resilience, integrity, kindness, hard work, and really to serve us far beyond any material inheritance. So I would say that I was good fortune to be born with it or born into a family with it. And I've had it ever since.
Wow, what a gift. Tell me, I know John Deere places a significant emphasis on empowering women in leadership, which a lot of people might not know. I know I didn't know that when I first started working with John Deere. And I wonder how these company values have impacted your leadership style. And maybe talk to us about an initiative that you're really proud of.
I remember being offered a position in our drivetrain manufacturing location. They were working 3 shifts round the clock. I had a 1-year-old baby at home. We were implementing new systems at work, and it felt like the perfect storm, right? There were just not enough hours in the day. I think my biggest takeaway from that, while not everything went the way I wanted to go, my resilience skills came into handy. But I think my biggest takeaway from that is that growth and comfort very rarely coexist. And really to lean into the hard stuff, challenge yourself from every failure, and never shy away from it. So, almost a position that I did not want to take, almost a position that I wanted to walk away from. Many mentors recommended and suggested that I do it, and I trusted in them. And it's really one of the positions that I least wanted, but I grew and learned the most, positioning me for future successes.
Hmm. So growth and comfort rarely coexist with one another.
Yes, either you're comfortable or you're growing.
Mhm. And tell me, when the growing feels overwhelming, when it's coming in a big wave or all at once, how do you find comfort? What do you do?
My support network, trusting in myself, being adaptable to change. Sometimes you may not be able to accomplish the same things with the same stuff that you've done in the past. So being willing to change, adjust, take feedback, I think that's really been very critical for me along my career journey, always seeking that feedback and acting on it.
You've mentioned a couple of times your support network, and that's really been powerful for you. How did you learn how to build that? For someone who's 20 listening, like how did you start building that, Gia?
That's a really good question because I think, Paul, when I started out, it felt awkward. And my mindset was put your head down, get the job done. Everybody's going to see it and recognize. And that may not always be the case. And so it was a period of transition. It was a little bit uncomfortable. But I realized that every single person that I reached out to, as uncomfortable as I might have been, nobody really turned me away. Nobody was rude. Nobody said, "Why are you coming to me?" Nobody said, "I don't have the time." They might have said, "Can we meet later?" Or "I can't do it this week," or "Let's do it next month." But nobody really turned me away. And I realized that I was holding myself back by not asking and not building. And we're all humans at the end of the day. We might make different types of paychecks, but we all want the same thing. And I think collaboration is what will generate that success in us working all together. And so it was definitely a turning point for me realizing that this is not hard, this is not scary as soon as you get through your first few.
Your story that you're sharing today is really about seeing yourself, recognizing my difference is my strength, and wow, I actually need a support network. So let me go out and ask. And you realize people are willing to help. And so I wonder for you, now in a position of leadership, 24 years at John Deere, what advice you would give to women who aspire to industries like construction or manufacturing, which are often male dominated?
There's no limit to what we as women can accomplish. So I would say go out there and do it. I feel we set our own boundaries and our own limits, and really it is limitless. So I think every challenge that we face is actually an opportunity. And that's how I've looked at it. And so the bigger the challenge, the bigger the opportunity. And how do you think about or how do you pivot your thought process from a problem to an opportunity and creating those opportunities for yourself as you move through the organization?
Mm. And so, looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenge for women leaders in global industries like agriculture, manufacturing, and supply chain management?
I think, again, Paul, it differs based on what functional group you're in, what areas you're in, but look at where we are today, right? And compare that to where we've been 20 years ago. And there's been so much progress, so much representation, so much support out there. Even though we might face challenges, I think it's very minuscule with the opportunities that might stand in front of us. So I think essentially just looking at it as being limitless and going for it versus focusing on the challenges is what will help us get there.
Mm. I'm curious for you, your leadership style. I recently observed you with a team, your team, right? It's an all male team. Talk to me about your leadership style. How do you get results? How do you push? Because John Deere's had a lot of change over the, past few years.
I think the first and foremost is leading with purpose, right? And so, what are we all driving towards, and trying to create that ultimate of purpose that we all believe and trust in. The other thing I would say is approaching it also from a mentorship style has been very helpful for me in the past. And navigating some of those issues, really working alongside with them. I've been part of multiple different negotiations. My position is I'm here to make all of you successful, and we're only as strong as our weakest link. And so, how do we go about day to day challenges? How do I help eliminate some of the roadblocks that might exist? And really not being afraid to go into the trenches with them. I've traveled across the world with my team, visiting customers, suppliers, etc. And I think that has helped me grow as a leader as well.
You described team versus me. When did you make the transition from, oh, it's not about me, it's about the team?
I think I made that transition very early in my career because I was able to determine that alone we can only accomplish so much. And when we work collaboratively, when we work together, the outcomes are so much more significant. They're so much more meaningful, not just from a business result perspective, but overall. And so I would say, Paul, I recognized that very early in my career. I probably had the opportunity as a manager to do it a little bit later in my career, but then really taking those learnings that I gained as an individual contributor into my leadership positions has been a great transition. But yeah, learning that I would say was very early in my career.
Mm. So when you get up in the morning now and get ready to go to work and look in the mirror, what are you most proud of?
I am most proud of, I would say, multiple different things. The first thing I would say is the work that we do, how we deliver it, and what we bring every single day. I recognize that it's a huge team effort. I recognize that I would not have been able to do it alone. But I look at the breadth of things that we deliver on a day to day basis. And like I said, I can't imagine having done this 20 years ago. So just to be given that opportunity is good. And I'd just say, like, get up every morning filled with gratitude to have the opportunity to do what I do, to work with the people that I work with, and to have the impact across not just an organization, but an entire community.
Mm. I don't think people realize how much John Deere gives back to local communities and really globally. Do you want to say anything about that or anything you're proud of?
We have several different programs at John Deere, in addition to generating millions and millions of dollars for the community. I think the real meaningful work is done by each individual giving off their time. We have a program called Power of Good. And in my organization, we have thousands and thousands of hours that are donated by folks on the team. And I also think, Paul, when we go through those activities as a team, it's such a great team building experience to be able to give back. And I'm very happy to live in the community that I do, and then to have the opportunity to give back with my team and the rest of the John Deere organization.
Yeah. So I only have two more questions. And my first is, do you get a discount on lawnmowers?
Yes, we do. It's definitely a great opportunity to have as well.
That's great. So you get the family discount. That's fantastic. And my last question is, what didn't I ask you about women in leadership that you think is important to share?
I think nothing is impossible, and be the change that you want to see. And I would say it's been really a pleasure working with you as well, Paul. I've learned a lot from you, your leadership style, your coaching. And yeah, look forward to working with you further and being able to develop this.
Thanks, Gia. When I first met you, you just inspired me. I was so struck by your vision and your honesty and your integrity. And so I really thank you for your time today. And thanks for sharing some wisdom with us.
Thank you. Very happy to do so, and appreciate the session today, Paul.
Thanks for tuning into Courageous Conversations. Gia's journey from Mumbai to leading at John Deere is a powerful example of resilience, authenticity, and breaking barriers. Her message: own your strengths, build your network, and turn challenges into opportunities. So now it's your turn. How will you show up boldly in your life? What's your next courageous move? If this episode fired you up, hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs a spark. Big things are coming in our next episode. You don't want to miss it. Until then, stay bold, stay curious, and keep the courageous conversations in your life flowing.